Look at us already recording. 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Whose idea was this?
This is unfortunately mine. Wow, look at the outline. We're flying by the seat of our pants today.
I might not be wearing pants right now because it's Sunday at 9 a.m.
Hey.
Don't usually wear pants Sundays. Just going to crack open my Canada Dry ginger ale, as is a staple on this show.
All right.
We're going to get an ad at some point.
I found one. So Ray's name would be T/.
Isn't it? Oh, no, that's T. I was like, that sounds like the dude from the Native American dude from Street Fighter Turbo. T-Hawk.
T-Hawk.
Gerard's name would be T-Kick. And my name would be Punching Slash.
It sounds like an archetype on NBA 2K. A punching, slashing.
the Bill Lambert archetype.
Actually, I like this one
better.
Under this generator, Ray's name would be Throwjack.
Roadjack?
Throwjack.
Oh, I said Roadjack. Isn't that what we have in the trunk?
Gerard's name would be Throw Iron, and I'd be Pushjack.
All right, well, that's cool. We became honorary members of Retribution.
Seems like anyone become a member of Retribution if you wear black, but it's fine.
It's seeing the tweets of everybody who was like, "Oh, I applied to be a part of Retribution, but they didn't accept me." Like, really? That's what we're doing?
You notice how no one's like being proud about being part of Retribution right now. Like Mia Kim's whole Twitter has like no.
Well, T-Bar is working it.
I don't think he has anything. He's not a gamer. Like,
right, he gets a participation award because he is really like pushing for it. Like, he's got a backstory. He's got an origin. He's like,
this is that extra on the set that's flying too close to the sun. He's
a character actor.
I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna be the best damn supporting actor ever. Right.
That whole story about how like they signed on a contract so they would stop like wrecking shit, like whatever. It's like, okay.
That sounds like a Vince line, but I mean, that could be an extras line as well. I'm sorry.
The troubling thought I had a couple of nights ago when everybody started voicing their opinions about Retribution and basically it being a joke is, what if that's the point?
Okay.
Based on our previous conversations on Retribution and what they loosely can represent in our current society, to make them out to be a joke would be a very Vince McMahon thing.
I fully expect it to be. They're halfway a joke already, so.
Right. So while, we're, all of us are laughing about it, the joke might be a bit on us if that's the case.
Message.
I'm just saying, it hit me, just kind of reading through tweets. And I don't understand Vince McMahon, but just of knowledge of, watching the product over countless of years. Just about everything Vince McMahon does is very intentional.
He will be one of those conservatives.
We know whose friends he are. He is with.
Yeah.
And we know what time of year we are in.
Mm-hmm.
So that just hit me. And again, that, it's all fun and games, but there also can be an underlying message here that we've seen in other cases. I still feel the way, I'm still wearing my New Day shirt because I felt like those guys made the most of a situation they weren't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to be Amos and Andy, and they made it into something more.
With that being said, welcome to the Weissman Wrestling Podcast.
That's what happens when you get me on a Sunday morning. I get all preachy.
Hey, I mean, that's cool. Throw jack.
What was that? Throw slash? Push.
Throat slash? No, slash throat.
Push kick.
Push kick.
Jack. Push jack.
I'm sure Lupe would have would like to have a word with you. She said push kick. I'm like, oh, you just gonna flip my shit, huh?
And
one of a Lupe right now. He'll art bar you and then he'll chop you up.
Straight up, yo.
Yeah,
That's an actual samurai right now. Actual samurai.
What a role model, man.
Yeah, I it's like you compare like the Chicago rappers that are going off right now between him and Kanye, and I'm like, I'm taking the samurai. Because if anybody's gonna fight for my masters, it's the guy with the sword.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's not get into that conversation. We saw what the conversation started. We talked about it last week, and then all of a sudden it manifested. Well, aren't you a part of good music? Shouldn't you be giving back the masters? Throw iron.
I had way too much fun on this app, I swear.
Oh man.
You could tell someone's used to being up this early in the morning on a Saturday, Sunday.
No.
I'm not.
This is three different people on a Sunday right now.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I need to start taking some time off. Apparently, I've accrued up to an entire month worth of days off.
Oh, wow.
Do you have any rollover?
Minimal. I can't have more than 26 days, and I'm already at 14. So I get by the time June rolls around, that's when I have to make sure I have no more than, but I get another 10, 11 days. So it's like, I have to start using some days at some point.
Coolio.
Probably do it when the PS5 comes out. Take a day off.
There you go.
Take a day.
Put my retro. Was it?
A day.
Yeah.
Or 2. A few days, man.
I mean, you need a few days. Put my retribution mask on. Go back to the old Tickle Me Elmo days where somebody will get fucking punched in the face for a Tickle Me Elmo.
Wait, you closed that loop up.
Yeah, no. So it's like, no, because my mom, she used to be an ops manager for Kmart back in the day when that first came out. And when they had that lady attack, that shit was over at the Addison Street Kmart where she was at. I'd never seen it before, over a doll. I'm like, well, it's your fault.
It's your fault.
It should have had more available. Here we are.
Here we are, man.
There's a pay-per-view tonight, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is Clash of Champions tonight.
The champions are going to clash.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it.
I am.
There's so much other stuff on.
2 storylines that have caught my attention. Huh?
There's so much other stuff on TV.
Like what?
Jimmy Butler in Game 6. And then you got Lovecraft Country on HBO, which is a fantastic show. I could keep going. We're going to binge watch The Boys season 2 today.
Yeah, you're going to love. That's dope. You're going to love that.
Well, first I got to, because the one time that we tried, Claire brought it up last night. We went to watch the Adesanya fight at Adam's house. And she brought it up last night that we did try binge watching it the day after the bachelor party. And then when I wonder why I fell asleep on episode 9 and 10.
Right.
Don't remember any. All I remember is like her waking me up like for the cliffhanger that's at the end of season 1. I'm like, I still don't want to look at it. I was like, I want to watch that episode before going to season 2. I'm not gonna have me fucked up like that. It is what it is.
No, you'll enjoy The Boys. It's good. I don't necessarily like the fact that they're doing the episodal week by week thing. I'm sorry, I don't watch TV like that no more.
Oh, so they're not. So there's only a couple of episodes.
There's 6 of 8. There's 6 of 8 right now.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, Amazon, I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird approach to take.
Yeah, well, they released them all out the same time last year. I think they're trying something new. To kind of see if it maintains viewership throughout.
Well, that's the Apple model.
Yeah, let me know. I guess I'll wait for both of those to finish.
You could wait for both of them to finish. I mean, the story's damn good right now. But yeah, if you could wait, just do so.
Yeah, I'll probably do
that. That's the way I watch TV now. It's just binge it, get it done with it.
But I gotta shout out my boy David in Portland because for Lovecraft Country, he added me to his Plex server, so now I have a plethora of things I need to catch up on. So shout out to Dave. He's probably gonna be a new listener coming up soon.
Hey.
Yo, if that Lovecraft Country is like the last episode, which explains the opening of the opening episode.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, man.
Okay.
Fantastic. This was probably one of my favorite episodes. I mean, outside of maybe like the 2 or 3, but I mean, this one was great. It's great storytelling with that show.
Cool.
So,
you might be proud that on that same Plex server, I'm able to watch the regular show again, which is like a guilty pleasure of mine. But now my son is actually really taken to it. So I don't know if you remember. Let me take this off. Remember in that first episode, or the first episode where they were trying to get raises?
Hold on. Stop. You shaved your beard?
No. The mask did that. Look.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Look. No.
Let that bad boy out to breathe. It's Sunday. Let it out.
So now my son kind of goes around the house asking us for raises. Like that first episode, they had the thing that was like 5, 6, 7, 8. Give us a raise, loser. That's not my 3-year-old's new catchphrase around the house. So you're welcome.
Well, it's better than my 5-year-old nephew spending the weekend with us and coming up with catchphrases from Rick and Morty. Yeah.
You're not going to get in too much trouble with that, though.
I really haven't watched an episode of it, but my sister, because they got my HBO account, my HBO Max account. So
you never watched Rick and Morty?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh my friend.
You have homework.
I do have it. So I mean, since I'm gonna wait on The Boys, I guess I could start watching some cartoons. I've got a couple of days. I did mention I have a couple of days off, right? Coming up.
Okay, cool. Because
I'll catch up.
Yeah. Oh my God. All I'm gonna say is there's an episode that's designed that's based on The Purge.
Oh,
that's my favorite episode of all time. I don't know how they got the license to use the music that they used in that episode, but oh my God, y'all.
I will give it a try.
that one had me dying laughing.
All right. But wrestling.
That's the problem.
See, that's the thing. This might be in one of those, that other podcast.
Okay.
Absolutely, because I mean,
if you look at the outline, like, at least all the stuff I was able to come up with to talk about.
my quick notes on wrestling.
Let's clarify that we actually want to talk about.
Yeah,
there's a lot out there. It's just we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
No. Let's bring
real.
something fun up. See, there was a segue when I asked you about the midnight cocoa bean, because not only does your little goatee stand out, so does Cody Rhodes' hair. Segues.
Okay, we can talk about emo Cody Rhodes coming back to to AEW.
No, he looks like one of the dudes off of Lovecraft Country with the little pin coming from his pockets. I'm good.
I was expecting him to come back to the Evanescence song.
That would be the Savior's song, right? Going against the
Wake
big bad
me
Dark
up.
Order.
Wake me up inside. Save me.
Yeah. Apologies to Amy Lee. It sounds better when we're drunk singing that song.
Yeah.
I just gotta feel that Cody's entrance has to be like a constant troll about entrances in general. Because it's the most overbooked thing ever.
Over the top, yeah.
And I think he like goes in the back and just laughs his ass off afterwards.
It has to
like,
be.
hold on.
I mean,
we got the dramatic music, we got the spotlight. I come up under the floor.
Pyro.
I got what? How much pyro we got?
All the pyro.
I'll pay for it myself.
I got you.
I need a Titantron. I need the lights to go out.
This is such good shit.
What would Vince do right now? Let's just keep going.
He's gonna add another couple layers of the Thunderdome inside the Orlando.
I'm just saying, like that's another cat. That's another cat who everything he does is intentional.
Yeah.
You gotta know he knows. It's crazy.
Yeah. Vince is gonna encourage people to use their own pyrotechnics at home.
Yeah.
While on the Thunderdome, you see a bunch of people on fire.
Well, I think I don't know if this ties in. I think the dark hair has more to do with the fact he was filming a movie.
Oh no! Please don't give us the Marine 8.
Well, no, he's not in that game. But no, I know he was filming something. That's one of the reasons he stepped away, and that might have been a side effect of that. Because remember in WWE when he was doing Arrow, he had to dye his hair for that as well. So
that's right. He was in Arrow.
I mean, we'll see in future weeks. Maybe they just tied it in. But yeah, it looked ultra dark. I think the only thing that would have topped it off was a goatee. That would have.
that would have been, for as clean cut as that dude is. That would have been impressive to build a goatee in that short amount of time.
It's TV, man.
It's TV. That's also true.
Rusev can come out with blonde hair and call himself the best man.
I mean, he's the best free agent. So,
while we're there, because I wanted to talk about that too. What now that we're kind of well into this whole thing of like former WWE stars showing up in AEW, how do you feel about like their performances since they've been there?
I think it depends on who you're talking about and what their plan was.
Okay,
you could tell with like Matt Hardy, somebody to that effect, they weren't trying to come in to be a main event star. They were coming in to transition other stars, and they're enjoying doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Cardona, he's Cody's boy. I never expected him to come in and like win the TNT championship or anything to that effect.
Well, I mean, I'm looking personally at Okay, let's take those. Like Matt Hardy, it's just painful to like see him walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've been
And
saying that for the past couple of years, though. Like, he
yeah,
looks incredibly stiff.
and
I think
I only expected him to be as physical as he has been because he's just got that bug. He just wants to wrestle still.
Matt Hardy falls into the Kurt Angle going to TNA thought process for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where WWE said he was done. He didn't think he was done. There were some things he wanted to do creatively, and WWE wasn't going to let him do it. I mean, these are both parallels here between him and Kurt Angle. So he goes to somewhere where he has a bit more creative freedom and to work with younger stars to, put them over. Now with Kurt Angle, he had a resurgence because in TNA because painkillers.
Drugs. Right.
I think Matt's situation is different because of Reby.
Mm-hmm.
Reby is not Karen Angle. Reby's like, sit your ass down. I'm not going to take care of your limpy ass all the rest of my life. We have kids that want to play with you and, do shit.
Right.
They want to play they want to go swimming with their father in the lake of resurrection.
Right. Another thing that hurts Matt Hardy's situation in AEW is no crowd.
Big time.
Right.
Because he wanted to come in and do Broken, and that doesn't work in a dead arena.
Yeah, that's a very crowd participation type gimmick.
Yeah. So, they had to call an audible there. Because if I'm correct, he came around like April.
Well, he came the day, like the week after lockdown started.
Right.
Like literally.
Mm-hmm. So it was during that time where, to be frank, a lot of people were sitting around thinking, okay, we'll be on lockdown for a couple of weeks and we'll be back to what we were doing. So that plan was still there. And now he's, calling audibles and now working with, he worked with Sammy. We've shared our opinions about how that's worked out. He's worked with Private Party, kind of a mentorish type of thing. He's taking this break, well-deserved so, because, body's banged the hell up. Got that good knock on the head. As I say, Matt Hardy's a special case. I see where you're going in general. And that's why, back when we were first, discussing people coming over, people had to have certain expectations about these people coming over. Did you expect Miro to come in and challenge Moxley right away? You shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, I'm not even speaking from that perspective. I'm just speaking solely off of what I saw inside the ring, period.
Mm-hmm.
Just that.
Yeah.
I thought that, it was obvious with like Cardona, who we haven't seen anywhere else except for the WWE system. And then it was clear how that WWE system just looks out of place when they're not in the WWE. Miro, who was probably everybody's number one draft pick in terms of basically seeing that character, but seeing what he can actually do inside the ring, outside the WWE system. I see him inside the ring in AEW, those clips that I've seen online, and I'm kind of like,
Well, I'm not going to judge Miro off one match because it's his first match outside of a WWE system. He's going to have to
tag team.
Well, he's going to have to change his style. He's going to, especially when he starts wrestling the likes of people who have never wrestled in a WWE ring. The last week's Dynamite looked bad for him because you could tell you could tell he twisted his ankle. That was real.
Mm-hmm.
So that had to hamper the rest of the match of what he was trying to do. But yeah, it's
great that you're going to give him a shot because, we understand and that's the perspective in which we have these conversations.
Right.
But there's something to be said about first impressions, and this kind of goes back to my distaste for him actually coming over and, you know, having to cut that same promo that everybody cuts the first time they step into the ring, instead of doing something more thought out and planned out for a debut.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's 0 for 2 with me right now.
Okay.
Because it is those first impressions that you kind of have to rely that you have to rely on, you know.
Yeah.
We as marks are always going to give him a chance. You know what I mean?
Well, I say a chance as in the sense of like I'm not gonna act like I had a whole ton of expectations for Miro in the first place. To be frank, I mean, while I was entertained by the Rusev Day thing in WWE, I frankly believe that was more Aiden English than it was him.
No, I got you on that.
So everything else that happened in WWE, I say the minority in the sense that I do think Rusev got a hell of a chance to do what he was supposed to do in the WWE. And outside of Rusev Day, just really didn't connect with it. Because when you separated him from English, when you separated him from Alana, you know, while, you know, the technique inside the ring was there, outside, it just didn't connect with me. But just because that transition, you know, I'm not going to throw him to the wayside right away. But I do see what you're saying as well, because, you know, they could have held him back for a few more weeks to make sure that whatever they were going to bring him out with or whatever first match he was going to have was going to work out right.
Right.
I still, to this moment, I don't understand the connection with him and Kip Sabian, because that goes against everything they've done with other people in this regard.
Right.
They usually bring somebody in with someone more seasoned, where this seems to be the complete opposite, per se. So, you know, that's that. I mean, I think one person, you know, if we're going to get with ex-WWE people who crossed over, who's, you know, literally been knocking it out of the park, is Brody Lee.
Yes. Yes, he has.
Because remember, Brody Lee wasn't supposed to be Mr. Brody Lee. That wasn't the plan for the Dark Order. It wasn't Brody Lee. It was like two other people.
Right.
It was like Marty Scurll, and I think they wanted Matt Hardy to do it for a while. And we know what happened with Scurll, and Matt said no. He wanted to do his own thing. So Brody was just thrown into it and has done a great deal with it. You know, so yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag overall when you're talking about people coming over. And that's why I said, you know, I think Rusev has to be the last major person, unless an AJ Styles becomes available for whatever reason.
Right.
And even, to be honest with you, AJ Styles makes more sense going to TNA than it does AEW from a historical standpoint.
Well, AJ Styles has no business signing any more contracts.
Oh, no.
Period. And every promotion outside of the WWE should be more than willing to work with that. So that's the perspective that I see it from. Yeah, he needs to show his face and Impact at least one more time before he officially retires. Because he just has he's got a lot of respect that they owe him that he can go collect on. He does not need to do that under contract, and Impact Wrestling should be absolutely 100% fine with that.
Speaking, and I don't want to transition too far away from what you're talking about, but you did remind me of something that is big, in my opinion, that a lot of people aren't talking about. The Rock appearing on Impact in the very near future.
Man. Is it that... Okay. The Rock is his own man.
Correct.
And
but
he can do whatever he wants to do. I just like how a conversation took place between Ken Shamrock and The Rock on a very up and up, sort of thing. Not even about, well, let's bring him into Impact. It's just, purely a professional thing that he wanted to bring The Rock in for. And Impact is doing the right thing. Just took it and just took off with it.
Mm-hmm.
And now this thing could look like it's going to happen.
Well, because one thing I definitely think, I'm not going to say The Rock, Dwayne Johnson understands is the bigger picture here. Dwayne Johnson is not just doing something for Ken Shamrock. He's doing something for professional wrestling.
Mm.
He understands the need for professional wrestling to grow. And this is his opportunity to do so. For those who don't know, Ken Shamrock and The Rock have been boys for back in the, Nation of Domination days.
Mm-hmm.
And the corporate, what was that? Corporation. That was another faction they were part of together. So they go back a ways. I think The Rock is slowly trolling. No, he's not slowly. He's trolling the hell out of Vince every chance he gets at the moment. Buying the XFL. It's gonna be an interesting moment in wrestling. Almost like when Shane appeared on Nitro, type of moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's going to be done virtually. He's not going to be an Impact ring. But it is very interesting.
I think
that this is happening in this manner.
The timing of it as well. Like we just got through talking about how the WWE just owns, saying they're independent contractors, names and likenesses and yada, yada, yada. And there's only so much that they can do on other platforms while they're signed, even though they're independent. So the timing of it is also very peculiar to me as well. Here's the one guy who, was made by the WWE, and he's been constantly taking his name and his likeness everywhere else. Like one moment he's doing USO shows with the WWE. Now he's doing his own USO shows. Still rocking the Brahma Bull T-shirt. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's his logo for his multi-billion-dollar shoe deal with Under Armour too.
Mm.
This is why WWE feels like they should own everything with their independent contractors, because they let a gold mine walk out.
Well, here's the thing. If anyone is wondering why Kevin Owens isn't a bigger star in WWE, why Dean Ambrose wasn't a bigger star in WWE, and why we keep saying John Cena was the last megastar in WWE, this is exactly why.
Mm-hmm. Perfect example.
Because they can't control him like literally they're controlling The Undertaker right now. You know what I mean? That's one story, and I'm going to say in sports and entertainment, that is going to go down as one of the saddest stories ever, is how WWE has manipulated and treated the Undertaker behind the scenes over the last 20 years. You could tell in that last ride, documentary, this is a guy that just wanted to be done a long time ago. His family wanted him to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But the company wouldn't let him do it. And The Rock is proven. Steve Austin is proving. Cena is proving. They all got out at exactly the right time. They all saw the writing on the wall and were like, nah, fam, not for me.
John Cena's another trolling story. That's like the icing on the cake right there.
Oh, he's so slick with it. It's just I wait for one of them, and I don't know who that's going to be, but I feel like a Cena, a Rock, not a Steve Austin, but someone of that stature. I mean, we could basically say Jericho did it, but he had help getting into the business for themselves with their own promotion. Because obviously when, as things grow, I won't say back to where it was, but just grow, period, that opportunity for the pro wrestling business is going to be there. Especially with all these promotions that unfortunately won't come back at all.
Right.
There'll be opportunities and territories. I would say especially on the West Coast.
Yes.
And in the Midwest.
The Midwest is home, baby.
I get you, but I just say
everybody comes through here.
Right. You've seen pro wrestling, the shows start in the South. You've seen the shows start on the East Coast. But the Midwest has come back, but just slower than, the rest of the places. You know what I'm saying? The only major shows we've seen is the Warrior Wrestling ones.
And shouts to them. I thought this whole time that I was seeing like clips and highlights from like the same show.
No, they've been doing it weekly. It's been weekly all throughout the month.
I think somebody posted like either like 4 shows in like the month and a half, last 3 weeks consistently.
Yeah.
Yep. They've been able to put out like shows every Saturday. I think this was the first Saturday they didn't, if I'm correct.
No, you're not correct.
So they had a show last night?
Yeah, because Madison Rain wrestled her indie retire match last night against Kylie Rae.
Oh, wow.
Kylie Rae, man,
while we're here,
if anybody has made the most of 2020.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Between her and The Rock, like, is her and The Rock are on the same like trajectory, yo. Like,
I'm not gonna say The Rock because The Rock has done 2 and 3 big things to put him on the list. But Kylie Rae, when you think about where she was at the start of this year, she basically was just getting back into wrestling in general after her layoff. And slowly but surely just started taking over. Like, she came into this year with no belts. Now she has 4.
She has
maybe
all
5. And maybe 5 if, Bound for Glory goes the way we think it could possibly go. Because it's another one of those scenarios for Impact with how do you not give this person a belt? When they're literally, arguably, the biggest star in your organization at the moment. She is wrestling everywhere and doing everything.
So 4 belts, working on 5.
Right.
And a ring.
And she was ranked the highest woman on the P1 500, whatever,
PWI.
The Indy 500. And then, additional blessings to her for being engaged over the last week as well. Like, that's a year, man.
Congrats to Kylie Rae.
You hang that up.
She's the exception to this rule of 2020.
Her little girl's growing up.
Right. She's having mine 2017.
So they're gonna have it local, right? The wedding, because he can't fly anywhere.
No, he's been traveling a little bit. I don't know how he's getting there. I know. He's
Megabus.
Megabus. I ain't getting on no buses.
No, I wouldn't get it.
No one's getting on no buses, man.
I had one bad experience on a Greyhound, and
I had a baseball tryout where I went from Columbus to Denver, and it took me 2.5 days.
I could just imagine what a 2.5 day bus smells like.
Well, no, you change buses, but still, it's not fun.
same shit, different bus, literally.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I did it to Toronto. That's how desperate I was to get out of this country.
That's not. How long was it? Maybe a day?
No, it was 12 hours.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
We did a bus. I'll never forget this day. We took a bus the weekend the Oklahoma City bombing happened.
Oh.
And it was for my uncle's funeral. And coming back, it was that was the news because they interrupted the NBA game because of that. I'll never forget it. That was a crazy weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's underrated? I've only done it a couple times in life. Train rides aren't that bad.
I've heard so many good things about.
I love train rides.
I've taken one to St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I think the other one was to Indianapolis.
Ugh.
I low key have a dream, possible goal of taking that train that goes from Chicago to California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The one that has like the viewing car.
Yeah.
My son's aunt and uncle did that. They did the trip, and we should kind of probably do that and take the podcast on the road.
We could do that.
Yeah, we can do
that. I have 30 days.
Well, I'm getting out of my job soon, hopefully, when, if y'all hashtag keep me at home, twitch.tv/Kingpin J Rilla.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
we need to start.
I'll get right on keeping you home while I go out and work for.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll watch this.
I'm holding on to the string so you can tag me in.
You better start playing Among Us.
Yo,
right.
So this game is like blowing up real big, huh?
Yeah, I actually played it with the girls over the last week. It's pretty fun.
Is it? I gotta try it. I downloaded it on my phone. It's fun. I must have did something wrong because I was the only one in the fucking spaceship, and I was like,
"Oh, you
can't be among." You can't be among us if you're just amongst yourself. Fuck this game. Turn it off. And then Matthew was telling me, "Oh, it's a great game." Adam was telling me, "Oh, it's fantastic. We were killing each other left and right."
Yeah, let me know when you want to. I got it on my phone too. Let me know because it's best when you play with like 10 people.
It is.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And it's
right after this podcast, while it's uploading, I'll play a couple games.
Okay.
It's also not advisable, just in my opinion, to just go into some random game.
Okay. So it's good to get people that you know in it. That's pretty.
Correct.
So it's like a new age Clue.
Yeah. It's
Clue mixed with Dead by Daylight.
Oh, word. Okay.
You know, that you just don't know who's chasing you around killing everybody. That's all.
Like it. I'm cool with it. Yeah, right. I'll fuck around with
it. We got to congratulate Craig Mitchell as well. He also got engaged this past week.
Good.
Salute to Craig Mitchell.
Him, Kylie Rae, Isaiah.
Tell our people getting married.
This is what y'all want to do when y'all can't wrestle. Y'all just get married.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if they need a cake, they can just go to my wife's little Instagram. Cakes by Crenshaw. Hey, plug in that shit. It's totally not an ad. I'm just married to her. I feel contractually obligated.
Your background should say that, like Cakes by Cliff.
I should just put a picture. What she needs to do is just make a cake whole. I got an idea.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean,
I saw another light come on in his house.
I mean, we've got an anniversary coming up eventually, so we need an anniversary cake.
Free cake. Free cake.
Free cake.
Why?
Yeah, no.
Why?
I'm so happy that the regular show is in my life again.
What's that?
I'm so happy that the regular show is in my life again.
The regular show.
Mm.
I gotta watch that too. Put that on my list. But one of my guys that I played Madden with put me on his Plex server a long time ago, but it was like shit that I didn't want to fucking see. I'm not gonna go rewatch MASH ever.
You don't need to put that on the Plex server. That's still on like Channel 6.
That's on Me TV all
Right.
the time.
All the time.
It's like, come on, man. If you're gonna put anything, just put the Golden Girls or some shit like that.
I hear MASH. I instantly think of the TV where you go click, 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 click.
Yeah, you gotta switch it to Channel 3 and Channel 4 because that's what you only worked on your Nintendo.
Yep.
Or that it was time to go to bed.
And that's how old we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So let me ask you guys something. Are either one of you following the WWE products at all right now?
If it's not through Bleacher Report, no.
Yeah, whatever they put up on Twitter or Bleacher.
No, I didn't say watching. Follow it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm staying up to date.
So and it was done, I think, on Twitter.
Show.
But Roman Reigns, you could say, I don't know if this is kayfabe, but it feels like a shoot. He basically dissed Raw.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'll say for myself, who's following it, kind of similar to what you guys are, but I will, go back to Hulu and watch something that, may pique my interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll definitely say that SmackDown is better than Raw right now. For a lot of the reasons Roman Reigns said. It seems like Raw is like this microwavable meal, while, on SmackDown, they're actually taking their time to prepare a meal from a creative standpoint.
You could send that retribution meal back to the fucking kitchen.
Considering both are ran by the same guy right now, I just wonder why there's a difference.
Paul Heyman.
Okay. So you still think Paul Heyman has that much influence on what's going on?
I don't think so much in terms of that being his job. But if I'm not named AJ Styles, and let's be clear, SmackDown has been great for like the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But in like the last 12 weeks has been terrible. If I'm somebody on SmackDown, I'm not going to just not talk to this guy.
Okay.
And pick his brain. And we're not going to, try to put something together if I'm like a Big E or a Jey Uso or even a Alexa Bliss.
Right. So let's agree to this, whatever. So basically, SmackDown's was trashed until the moment Roman Reigns came back.
I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was suffering because it was missing its biggest star.
I mean, the only thing that was probably carrying that show was Bayley and Sasha.
Okay.
Facts. Yeah, and we said that.
And let me add Bayley to that list as well, because those promos are getting better by the week.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Another person who's taken 2020 to elevate their platform, and she's really done it this year. I mean, it's coming of an age for her. I thought Sean was going to go like that. It's like, oh, Bayley.
Not so much. Well, I mean, there are two things that intrigue me about SmackDown right now. A, the Roman Reigns thing, just because new dick face. Because
it's veneers.
Huh?
The heel veneers.
Just the dick face Roman Reigns is dope. I don't know. I can't put nail on it, but it's just dope.
All those years of forcing it down your throat, now it's a little bit easier. It's like, okay.
It's crazy too. It's crazy too because we could have got the babyface version of this 3 years ago
if we just let him off the leash, basically.
Yeah.
Let the dog off his leash.
Right.
Let him rule his yard.
Like that promo he cut on Jay. Like, let me ask you a question. Like 3 weeks ago, if I told you that Jay Uso would be in a program with Roman Reigns, you probably would have rolled your damn eyes.
I would have rolled my eyes and said how much dog food is involved.
Now it's legit one of the most interesting things in all of WWE right now. But another interesting thing that has been slow burning, I guess, for like a month is the Alexa Bliss thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's taking its time to marinate, and I'm digging it.
And did you peep? Well, you may not, but there was a great moment on SmackDown this week where her and Roman Reigns' paths crossed.
Oh yeah,
I did see that.
Yeah, they're tweeting the most. Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
So it is just. I mean, if Paul Heyman has that much influence on that show, I mean, you could tell he obviously has influence over the Roman Reigns situation because more than likely Roman Reigns said, if me and Paul can't call this, then we don't want no parts.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, goes back to why The Rock is where he is right now.
Right.
And maybe Roman recognizing the opportunity to do that. If The Rock appears on Impact, do you think they allow him to still wrestle at 37?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
They're going to need him.
Vince is petty, dog.
We have to really like.
Vince is petty, but Vince doesn't see an opportunity where they can sell a bunch of fucking merchandise for WrestleMania 37.
So that's the thing. Like Vince has to be put in that position to where he feels like he needs his ego to be checked.
Because if that was the case, we would have got Steen and Undertaker.
Yeah. Yeah, if Vince doesn't feel like his ego needs to be checked, then he's going to be like, fuck The Rock.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's so many, you never know, it's so many different like things that factor into that. Like this election could factor into that. Like if Joe Biden wins, yeah, we get that match.
Okay. I feel you.
And then it's just like the stars have got to be aligned a certain way. Mm-hmm. It's just like
we have to have a crowd, or there's no point.
Yeah,
like a lot of things come into play.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Twitter user. He goes at the handle of @MealsTV. He did come out because I watch him on some funny shit because he's pretty funny with his commentary and stuff like that. He said Roman Denzel Washington Reigns has emerged tonight. It will never be you. You go take the payday. You go take this ass whooping.
Yo, man, that was fire right there.
Yeah, I love that. The whole like I'm keeping my spot at the head of the table. Like
that was a fire ass line, man.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, this is what you envisioned, like being force fed this. Like, you could have had this incarnation for maybe one of the past 3 years. This would have been excellent. How much more fire would this be with a fucking crowd? It's like a wrestler's time is never guaranteed in the ring, and you wasted a good year with this dog food bullshit. So I mean, I'm glad to, like I said, I'm glad to see him getting his shine right now. This has been the most enthusiastic I've been about Roman Reigns ever. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah,
pretty damn cool.
I just that fake crowd noise that they pipe in just takes it out of it for me. That's why I won't actually go back and watch anything because it's just.
Well, I haven't watched anything. Like the only thing I turn the volume up on is the promos.
Right.
That's very. You have a lot of faith.
No, and it's certain people promos. I'm not gonna front.
I was gonna say.
Right. But even then, it's just like I felt like Jay's like promo was so great, but it was just so watered down because of that weird WWE 2K crowd noise that they're piping in.
That was trash in a video game, and it's also trash in real life. Gotcha.
That's why 2K is taking a lot of shit. because their product has been trash lately. Just be real.
They're taking shots, but they're also taking bank.
And same thing with the Madden guys, you know, the EA Sports. It's like you can trash a game all you want, but why did you buy it to play it in the first place?
You know, it's funny. I was watching. I don't know if you know that guy on Twitter, X3. He does like the wrestling parodies.
Yeah.
I briefly watched his Twitch stream last night, and he was playing the WWE 2K Battlegrounds.
Oh God.
And he literally he went into a fatal 4-way match where he chose Edge, and it was supposed to randomly pick 3 other wrestlers for him to wrestle. Why did it randomly pick 3 different incarnations of Triple H? He was literally in the match with himself and 3 Triple H's. That's what this game does.
Yeah,
that's what that game is.
Chris Danker's playthroughs on Battlegrounds have been interesting as well. And he also cut a very interesting promo on WWE and 2K regarding Battlegrounds because they refused to send him a copy. Not that he asked for it.
Right.
But considering the content he's been putting out for 2K over the last 5 or 6 years, based on previous comments that he said about the last year's game, WWE would refuse to send him a copy. And mind you, this is the guy who's best friends with Xavier Woods.
That's funny.
He just cut literally a 5-minute promo before saying, "I bought the game myself, and you're gonna hear what I have to say about it."
Can we talk about? So I looked at it. I remember how many times these fucking pay-per-views in the past year and a half have been brought to you by some WWE mobile game where you have to do the puzzle, like the Bejeweled, just to be able to pull these. That's what I thought Battlegrounds was this entire time. I didn't think it was a multi-platform game. And then I looked at it, I was like,
I'm with you. I thought the same exact thing.
I'm going to be honest with you. Even after watching it, I almost still think this was supposed to be a mobile game.
But this is the problem that they're running into.
Made it to but I think they may have moved it to a multi-platform game when you just told them to kick rocks.
The problem is just a lot of these developers are just copying and pasting the code for the updated games, because what's the point of making a really good game right now if the next gen is coming out? Like Madden, there was an issue the other day where somebody took a screenshot and in the fucking corner of the graphic in the stadium, it literally said Madden NFL 19. This is 21. So it's
people have been copying code for years. Man.
I mean, if you think about it, the development cycle for any good game is 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's absurd that this company pushes out a game every year, and it's going to be dramatically different. No, it's on the same engine. They just kind of update and tweak things that they want to update and tweak, which is usually not the right things. You're basically when you pay on that premium price, you're basically paying for them to just experiment with your money versus give you something quality.
And that's why, up to this point, Call of Duty has worked because they have rotating studios working on these. So it gives them the full time of the cycle. Ninja! To perfect the game. And other companies do this with other games as well. But when it comes to sports games, fuck that. No, we don't do that.
Don't talk to me about Call of Duty and their 108 gigs of fucking memory on my PlayStation has now been since deleted.
That's why I'm very choosy about the games I play now. I rotate 2 or 3 games, and that's it. Because not only is space a premium, but my time is a premium.
I did just recently finish the Avengers game.
Sweet.
Super solid game. And now it didn't end with the bad guy. Now it goes into the multiplayer online where it's constant updated missions and stuff like that. I'm like, congratulations, you've made your own Marvel GTA, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I can't wait to see what the graphics look on the 5, if I can ever get one. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'll check it out when it comes on Game Pass.
Yeah, but you ain't getting Spider-Man, so ha!
He doesn't care. He's gonna
So
tease.
dumb.
He's gonna tease us. He's gonna tease us when Skyrim comes out on Xbox X.
But I'll be able to play Skyrim with him because I'll have an Xbox as well.
Yep. And it's going to allow you to download it before the game actually comes out so that you're playing it day one.
And we're going to be twitching live.
Yes,
we're both going to stay at home.
Yes.
We got plans for these systems, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's leaving anyway. So it's time to step up.
Gotta rip this Band-Aid off real quick.
I think it's a Band-Aid. But let's get into it.
We lost 2 Chicago legends in the past week. Gayle Sayers, who played for the Chicago Bears, set a bunch of NFL records during his tenure. And
such a short tenure too, unfortunately. And the guy was a Hall of Famer. So It's like, yeah.
And right. Even after his post NFL career, created a huge impact amongst Black athletes, inner city athletes, with the programs that he was sponsored for. So somebody who really left a great mark on his life before he left at the age of 78, if I'm not mistaken.
I can check it real quick.
Yeah. I think he had some previous health conditions that he suffered from.
He had dementia.
Yeah.
He was 77. He died of complications with dementia.
Okay. So yeah, and on the very same day, Animal, the other half of the Road Warriors, probably arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. He passed away at the age of 60.
66. Yeah, 60.
Yeah.
Right on the button.
Right on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's
I'm recording right now.
His legacy is kind of understated based on the family that he comes from. He comes from the Laurinaitis family, which doesn't get a lot of talk in professional wrestling, but definitely has, lingering things, should I say. I know that sounds weird. But his brother's John Laurinaitis, who is Johnny Ace and now then became Mr. Power of the People. He has 2 step-nieces in the Bella twins, based on John Laurinaitis' marriage to their mother, if I'm correct.
Yes.
One of Animal's sons played in the NFL.
James Laurinaitis, middle linebacker for the St. Louis Rams at the time.
Yeah. He retired a few years ago, but yeah, he played in the NFL. It's like the Laurinaitis family is, throughout wrestling, and even his brother Marcus wrestled for a while as well. It's like, I remember for me, the Road Warriors being like the first major wrestling entity from Chicago.
Yeah.
That's what I remember them as being. They came out in football pads, during, the time of, the real monsters of the Midway, as we, think of them as the Bears. So that just got you ultra hype all the way around.
Yeah, combining their love for football with that Road Warrior thing, the Thunderdome theme.
Yeah.
From those movies that came out back in the 80s. Like, it was just the perfect marriage of a great gimmick. And they were able to take that around the world. I remember just respecting how badass they were because I think it was one of those wrestling games on the Nintendo. Like it was a wrestling game, but like they were like the final boss. You had to fight this gigantic tag team in order to beat this game. And I don't know if their likenesses were used. I don't know their names were used in that game, but their likenesses were used. But you knew who it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was just like, yeah, you knew that they were a big deal just because of that. That was a tag team who got a lot of notoriety outside of the WWE. Their in WWE stuff, not so much. We know by the time that they got there, Hawk was experiencing a lot of issues from substance abuse. And we know that Animal was, the anchor through that whole time,
Mm-hmm.
He was the shoulders in that situation.
Literally.
And I think that legacy within the world of professional wrestling is what he'll carry, what carries on is that, saying that guy that you can always kind of talk to and lean on, depend on. It's always been there for people. There's so many people who credit Animal for, their careers and just, advice that he's given and kind of being that big brother, big uncle in that locker room forever, So it's a shame. He's another one of I would say, the good ones,
And another underknown fact about Ward, Animal, he was a founding investor of Zubaz.
Yeah.
So, like, he wasn't just some dumb wrestler.
He wasn't.
Yeah, so.
I'll never forget this photo. I'm about to post it right now. But this is, like, the dopest photo of them to me.
Oh, yeah. Him and his son yeah.
I think that was on, like, the cover of some magazine. I remember when he got drafted.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the fact that the pilots can feel it, he's feeling those pads.
Yeah.
Shit.
Joke
No joke.
indeed. I mean, last week was just a hard week for Chicago in general.
Mm-hmm. You want to add on top of that Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yeah.
And that situation that we're still living through now.
And the fact, I don't know, I always think people are petty now. I want to be positive, but become more cynical over the year. But the fact that a Chicago judge was picked.
She's been in the conversation since 16. And not only that, but they're selling her fucking T-shirts with the notorious, her initials, and she's rocking a crown too. It's like...
The disrespect was real, fellas.
It's always been real. It's had a free pass to be out in the open now for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
It really has. Yeah, I saw that this morning. I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Fucking the Republicans are actually selling these fucking T-shirts. Like, unbelievable. It's been a tough week, tough year.
So, if you guys want further evidence that The Rock is trolling the hell out of Vince, just look at the video he posted today at 7:45 a.m. I think.
No.
Endorsing Biden.
And yeah. Now we see the weird invasion angle. Here comes Donnie saying that he's gonna be The Rock was the worst wrestler of all time. He can never get the numbers that I got.
Now, I want to point out some irony in this. Because I want to... What year was that? 2000. Mind you, Rock was still under contract with WWE. He was asked to speak at the RNC. exactly 20 years later, look where we are.
What,
again,
Democrats buy wrestling tickets too?
No, it's not just that. I wanted to make sure that I pointed out that when he was, I want to say, I'm not going to say I'm going to say he attended that that convention and spoke at it. He was under contract with WWE.
Mm-hmm. But that was back when Trump supposedly was a Democrat.
Correct.
Oh boy,
we can go on for days about this shit, man.
Americans are goofy. We're just so goofy.
It seems to be getting. It's fucking horrible right now.
No.
There's some goofy ass shit out there, man. It's just pay attention, do your homework, make sure you're voting at the municipal level and not just the presidency, because at home is where you start the change. He's got the Canada flag. They won't accept us, man. They're turning us away at the border. We're going to have to get smuggled in with some maple syrup or something.
Well, I mean, no one is out there begging and confessing their love. You know what I mean? It's just going to just be going.
Yeah, he's Rod's been an honorary Canadian for about a decade and a half. So I mean, we can't exactly call him a bandwagoner or anything.
Oh no, not at all. Never that.
Any thoughts on the G1 so far, guys?
I haven't watched any of it, but I've been hearing a good thing about a couple of those matches that have taken place so far. Juice Robinson is amazing with that promo. Kenta also cut a very scathing promo in English with all the words, all the 4-letter words. That was pretty amazing. I heard that Jay White went over Okada clean.
Yes, he did.
So this is still happening. Will Ospreay claiming that he's the best wrestler in the world. I love it. Somebody over there needs to be talking that talk right now.
But Ospreay can't talk anything because he's got
to do it quietly.
Yeah.
He just lost?
Yeah.
He lost last night to Shingo.
Well,
Shingo could talk that talk if he wants to.
Yeah.
Well, at least you gotta have at least Ospreay's got the confidence to speak now.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I've seen the one clip of Yano winning a match.
Yes, he did. He actually won a match. He actually won 2 matches. Yano's 2-0 right now. Jay White's 3-0. Okada's 1-2, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Cobb is 1-2.
I feel like with Okada, they're either going to put him in the spotlight or they're going to push him to obscurity just because they know the impact that he has.
Yeah.
Like he does kind of take up all the air in the room when, he's the champ. So this definitely tells me that they're working towards pushing other big names.
Definitely.
To the top of the card since they only have so many people to work with right now.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, except for the fact that they still they keep killing me with my predictions about my boy. It'll come to me. But I mean, all in all, yeah. I mean they're doing that thing again where they're rotating the guys in and out. And trying to keep a good number of people strong at one time so that we don't know which way it's going to go.
Should be good. I mean, it's early on, so I mean, obviously we got some time before things get heated up. Well, we got like another month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're only night 5, and I think they go to like 15 or 16 nights, something to that effect.
It usually is because everybody has to wrestle everybody in the block. I think at least once,
Mm-hmm.
and then they pair them off to break all the tiebreakers and determine a winner. So yeah, that takes a while, but it's still the best wrestling out there. I'm sorry.
It is. I just wish it was available to more American households.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're missing out in that regard. Shouts out to another engaged couple of Camille and Thomas Latimer from the NWA.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. She was
shout out
in a competition last night, if I'm not mistaken. A bodybuilding competition last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was.
Shout out to Joe
that.
Montana and his wife for stopping a kidnapping when they wrestled their grandchild away from a home intruder.
Hey, wrestle.
He wrestled. See, look at that. Parallel.
The tie-in. That's crazy. Why is that becoming? I guess I was gonna say why is that becoming more of a thing? Home invasions, but I mean people are at home now, so
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But
like,
I mean,
I guess there are not too many people at the bank anymore. You can't rob a bank.
yeah, and everybody's rocking a mask, so.
No, they're not.
Well, people that go, well, yeah, it depends. Depends on what side of the line you live.
Yeah, I went to Costco yesterday. No, not everybody's right. Sad.
That's pretty funny.
So we got a pay-per-view no one cares about. And I think that makes sense with this pay-per-view because these like tweener pay-per-views, and that's why I think the 12 month pay-per-view model needs to go away because you have wasted pay-per-views in between, big ones.
Right. We know that nothing major is going to happen on any one of these shows. You may get a good match or two out of it. But it's just like a super episode of Raw or SmackDown at this point. To me, that's where the death of the WWE pay-per-view was for me when going back like maybe 6 years to like the first time I saw like a promo being actually cut during a pay-per-view and a backstage segment being filmed during a pay-per-view, and I'm like, wait, this is not pay-per-view like material here. Like by the time we get to a pay-per-view, it's all about the payoff.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to sell. Besides a T-shirt or two, it's just time to fight.
Right, because and we'll just breeze through this card real quick. I'll go backwards. Selena Vega is not beating Asuka. It's not going to happen. No one cares.
Happened.
No one cares who wins between the Street Profits and Andrade and Garza at this point because that program has been going so long.
It's their 20th match in the last 21 weeks.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Cesaro and Shinsuke wrestling Lucha House Party shouldn't even be on the main show. Sorry. The Riot Squad is not beating Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler. Another one that no one cares about, Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews. No one cares. They've been wrestling too long.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think the triple threat for Intercontinental Championship will be a good match. With Hardy, Styles, and Zayn. That's going to be an insane match. But as it relates to outcome, I don't think anybody cares which one of these guys wins it because either of these guys can win it and we still have the same reaction at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Nikki Cross is not beating Bayley, even if that match takes place. And that's other news. As much as we love the Jey Uso program, there's no chance he beats Roman Reigns. The only match in question is Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, in my opinion.
Okay.
And in question doesn't mean I care. And the only reason I say it's in question because they've been pushing Randy so strong lately.
I appreciate Randy and his character, and as long as he's been around and his ability to kind of always put himself in a position to elevate other people while still staying relevant. I would give him credit to be kind of like one of the best to ever do it without having to like reinvent himself at every turn. I have to say that none of this means anything in terms of him being in the title picture unless we're going to put enough titles on him to possibly take down
Ric
Flair's and that actually culminated in the match between him and Cena to see who gets number 17. Other than that, Randy Orton in the title picture doesn't make sense to me. With as great as he is.
Here's another thing that doesn't make sense to me about this pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as who's on it, but who's not. Keith Lee doesn't have a match. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Big E right now. They're so-called trying to make new stars out of like Peyton Rice, Matt Riddle, Dominic Mysterio. None of them are on the card. We haven't seen Bray Wyatt in weeks. Outside of a funhouse.
Interesting.
Now, again, this can all be other situations, and I'll just leave it at that. You know, with recent news of like outbreaks and stuff like that. But I do kind of feel like you have to explain these things. I mean, Seth Rollins doesn't even have a match in this pay-per-view.
But it's a Clash of Champions.
I get that part. But if you're trying to... These are people that have been featured over the last several weeks on the shows.
Right.
Yet they're not being featured in your pay-per-view.
So this is basically what you've been talking about and what you've been making an example of for, you know, this entirety. WWE kind of booking themselves into these corners. This is like a double-edged booking into your corner type situation where you have a pay-per-view called Clash of Champions, but it's not a major pay-per-view, so none of the major players are a part of these championships matches. But you have to have a pay-per-view where every championship is defended, and that has to be the basis of your pay-per-view, whereas all these people who are not a part of championship matches essentially are not supposed to be on this card.
Right.
But that just seems backward logic in terms of trying to sell a pay-per-view, putting your best foot forward with your best stars who you've been working storylines with all the way up to this point.
What this tells me, as someone who would consider themselves to be somewhat of a writer, this card shows me you have no faith in your creative team.
Okay.
Because if your creative team was any worth a damn, you should be able to book this full of major stars and book matches where even if you didn't have many title changes, you could lay out the matches in a way where even the losers look great at the end. You know, like every takeover.
Right.
You know, this is like, yeah, there's nothing besides a couple of these matches, and even just this is just on paper. Like, we've seen cards on paper that look great and end up being trash when we actually see them. But on paper, this looks like trash. And yes, the matches could be good, but the outcomes are probably going to be predictable, and there's going to be no story development on any of these. Like, I don't see any potential for story development outside of the ladder match, the Roman Reigns, and possibly the Bayley match. Because I could see, like, Sasha causing the DQ by coming in and beating the shit out of Bayley. And probably the story ends here with, you know, Drew and Randy. But again, I love Drew, and I think he's done great as champion. But if he won, I don't think I'd care. If he lost, I don't think I'd care.
It's very unfortunate that he's had this title run with nobody there, especially with all the momentum that he had from Royal Rumble and with the countdowns, before he gave the Claymore kicks to his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
He was really he was on the rise.
Yeah, Star was rising for sure.
Unfortunately, this is one of those things where nobody could have predicted this happening, and here we are. It's tough. It's really tough. But like you said, right now, it's like I'm not really worried if anybody loses the fucking belt. The only one you would worry about is probably Roman Reigns, the same way that we worried about when The Fiend had the title. See how, when and where is he going to lose it? Anybody else is like,
and I think,
okay.
Yeah. And I think they've already put themselves, they've already put themselves in a Brock Lesnar situation as it relates to Roman Reigns with the title right now. Because now that we have the heel turn that we've always wanted, and he's knocking it the fuck out the park with that heel turn, he is too over to lose.
Yeah.
Plain. There's no one I could name right now that should walk into a ring with Roman Reigns in his current situation, current gimmick, with Paul Heyman, all that good stuff, and lose. Plain.
Absolutely.
No, there isn't anybody right now. Every babyface that they have, at least on SmackDown, is a joke.
Right. Now, you could develop the Bray Wyatt situation to get to that point, and I feel like a match between him and Bray Wyatt is going to be a slow burn just based on what we saw on Friday. I would say slow burn, like, Survivor Series or, Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
But and then there's the other news about WWE going back to stadiums, probably next month sometime.
All Florida stadiums.
Well, I mean, if you look at college football, and if you didn't, that's perfectly fine. But just the clips I saw on SportsCenter and on people's feeds, college football is back, and so are stadiums. Unfortunately, in some regard, if you want to look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Texas A&M Stadium yesterday was visually packed. They said it was only 40% capacity, but it was an impact on the game. And Vince, if he can do it, he's going to.
Right.
Jacksonville had people in the stands, for their games.
All the way up to the 300, 400, 500 level, whatever you want to call it, in that stadium.
Yeah. So Vince is counting the days, even if he has to do it in smaller outdoor stadiums, in the South where it's warmer. He's going to do it.
Yep.
Because he's getting crushed by AEW on Wednesdays. more than likely because they have, there's something to be said about AEW actually having people in the stands right now.
Yeah, at what is it, like 20% capacity? It was just working.
It's 20% capacity in a building that really doesn't hold that much, but because of the way the building is designed, you can still hear the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big time. It's a noticeable difference.
Right.
And you don't have to pipe in any noise.
No. So we'll see how things get interesting over the next several months. I mean, and then I don't know, with these positive tests and then people disappearing for a while with no explanation at all. Like, see how long you want to watch it.
I had this whole like fantasy booking thing for like Big E, which just makes me confident that they're just not going to do the right thing with him. So good luck to him.
There is an interesting video that I suggest everybody watch, regardless how you feel about the situation. Adam Blumbier on Wrestle Talk posted a video of how WWE would book itself the day after Vince retires.
Sold.
And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's 20 minutes worth your viewing. Yeah, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. It's a damn interesting video. But last but not least, we don't want to necessarily end things on a somber note, but we have to bring attention to the topic of the week that has nothing to do with wrestling. But affects every single person who listens to this podcast. And that is the grand jury decision regarding the death of Breonna Taylor. In spite of the outcries, in spite of the protests, the messages, the cries of people everywhere, from the poorest to the richest, no criminal charges in connection to Breonna Taylor's death were brought against any of the officers involved in the raid that ended her life. What more disappoints me about this situation I'll say this. The moment the verdict was read, I started packing my stuff at work.
Yeah.
And I prepared myself to go somewhere to be a part of something. And nothing happened, at least in my area.
Nothing happened pretty much in Chicago, save for like maybe a small thing in front of the mayor's former house. Because newsflash, she doesn't live over there anymore.
Correct.
Yeah, they met over by the statue at Palmer Square.
Yeah.
Park, to do a vigil for Breonna Taylor.
Now I wasn't, and I want to make sure that I'm clear here. I'm not talking about looting. I'm not talking about destruction of property.
Right.
I'm talking about positive action and protest, where, something to the effect of what happened with Jacob Blake, something that happened with George Floyd. And the fact that a similar action did not happen, at least locally, was heartbreaking for me. Because it tells a bigger story about us than anything that happened in Kentucky.
I feel like in the Chicago area, people who want to do something in a positive light have been affected by basically two things. Well, might as well say three things. Well, it basically comes down to two specific things. I would say one, um, the last couple of times that we protested or it turned into looting, um, the city really took a stance against that. I mean, they're doing the right thing for anybody who's partaking in any sort of like destruction of property is stealing during those times, because that's not how we want to represent this movement at all.
Absolutely.
We kind of just accepted it as, well, this is a byproduct of what we're being given, But I know the city of Chicago has really taken a strong stance against it. They've been prosecuting people, so now it's like a real threat if you're a part of something that you can be prosecuted, you can be arrested, so they will find you. I would say the second thing would be the situation that took place in Kenosha, and the fact that we had somebody from Illinois drive up there and actually shoot protesters. So now the cost of having a voice is persecution, prosecution, and death. Like you can literally be putting your life on the line just because you want to go out peacefully and with a group of people and organize and make your voice heard. And I think that Chicagoans are kind of looking at it from that perspective of, we need to kind of save these moments for when something really does happen here versus when it happens somewhere else.
It's tough. It's tough, like you said, with the threat of prosecution. You've got community activists, well-known activists that are in jail for multiple days at a time without a bond hearing. And this happens during the week, and that never really fucking happens. So, I mean, they're really sticking it to the people that want to speak out against.
Has anybody checked on the horse guy, the cowboy from the South Side?
He did. I thought he released bond, but now they're talking about euthanizing the horse.
No, the horse is fine. The horse will live.
Fine?
The horse will live.
Okay.
But the story of it is the horse, right? Everybody made it about the horse, but not about the child that was murdered. I mean, the exact thing that he was out there protesting about happened that last night. There was a 5-year-old child stabbed and killed. It's like that's what he's trying to bring attention to.
I think, because I also have had discussions with organizers who were very active in the beginning. And I'm not saying they're less active now, they just kind of switched their methods. A lot of the beef that they got is from within.
I can imagine that.
For example, someone that I'm really cool with out here in Oak Park has organized a lot of activities in Oak Park and in Austin. And each time he's attempted to do this, he's led with backlash of people telling him he's not doing it right. For example, we did a celebratory caravan around the border of Oak Park in Austin in our cars for Juneteenth. Something that should have been met very positively. Yet days after, we were all met with, you should have did this, you should have did that instead. I admit in the beginning, I was one of those people who kind of, said people weren't doing things right. But then I got some perspective from people I spoke with. Like, if anybody's doing anything, they're doing something right, in my opinion, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lesson I learned. And I think that's something that we need to take heed of going forward. If anybody's doing anything, they're doing something. We can't talk about, someone like Naomi Osaka, who's not necessarily a person who wants to make big speeches, but found a way to silently send a message. We can no longer jump on our sports stars because of what we don't know they're doing.
Right.
Like, the legacy of Michael Jordan for a while was impacted by what he would not say. But in the last 30 days without making a single speech,
just went above and beyond. Yeah.
We have to get off of this personal high horse of living only in our definition of how is the best way to react to what's going on. If I choose to go out and join some kids to paint a mural, that doesn't make me any better or worse than people who are standing in front of City Hall.
Agreed.
If people decide to just, black out their social media, that's the way they choose to send that message. The New Day, for example, they have from time to time put black bands on their arm with people's names on it. That doesn't mean they're any different from Colin Kaepernick. In my opinion, I'm just saying, like, they're doing something.
Right.
That doesn't make one better than the other.
We do understand that there's strength in numbers, and like it's perceivably like, so the more people are doing the same thing, that the bigger the impact is. But the fact of the matter is that the opposition is always going to make sure that we all can't fit through the same door. Mm-hmm. But the message needs to get across. I want to say, without sounding too militant, by any means necessary. So whereas, so you might have to hop through a window, you might have to go through the back door, you may have to dig under, you may have to, like, climb down the chimney. Like, there's different ways to be impactful, to express yourself and your thoughts, and to get your point across. Because there, I would say you have to switch it up. I mean, at this point, they're ready for us. At this point, they're bracing for us. Before we even got like the verdict, because I'm getting a text message from you guys like, "Yo, they're shutting down downtown again. They're raising bridges. The police are out." I'm watching like the little hot spots on Snapchat and seeing like the increased activity because they're just bracing for impact. Because we've done the marching thing, and the protesting, and they know where we're going to show up. Like, the gates in front of the old mayor's house have not moved since day one. Like, they're still there. The cop cars are still there because they know those things are expected. And if you want to continue to do those things, that's fine. But I can also see it from the other perspective of, well, they know it's coming. So, it's a little shine that kind of comes off of that message. But, so if you want to attack the situation other ways, like, do that. And don't ridicule anybody else for wanting to try different ways of getting the message across, because we got to switch it up. We got to do different things.
And another thing people need to recognize, and just to your point, the game is chess.
Yes.
It's not checkers. And it's not only chess, there's a historical document in the sense of anybody who studied the 60s as into what methods were used to get the progress that was made. And guess what? The people that are on the power side of this have studied that book.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're willing to go where those people went to get even that level of progress, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's just my personal opinion on it. I take it from, I don't want to get too comically on this, but Black Dynamite, where he walked into the Black Panther Party, one of the cats walked up to him, told him he wasn't doing anything. And he shut his ass down, told him everything he's ever done. And asked that cat if he's ever done any of those things. And then effectively told him to shut the fuck up until he starts doing those things. That is what our entire, should I say, generation before us is telling us right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling us, unless you're willing to go there, you might as well stay at home. And to this point, we haven't gone there.
There's actually protesters from other countries that are kind of saying it's echoing that same sentiment.
Like, you got cats in the streets shutting down, like, London,
right,
in protest. You know, and we ain't shut down nothing.
We can barely shut down the damn Ryan.
Because we choose to go home.
Yeah.
It's not called a sit-in if you get up. It's not a boycott if you do it the next day. It's not a strike if you go back to work the next day.
Right.
You just called off sick. And as you eloquently say every podcast, attention is currency. Think about where you're putting your money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And think about who's in power and who's gotten more money out of the last 8 months.
Right.
And unless you're willing to face those harsh truths right there and make a daily change to your lifestyle and the way you live your life, the world that you're surrounded by is going to stay exactly the same. Even past November. Because don't go back to 2008 and think because you make your vote on November 3rd that the world is going to change on November 4th. We made that mistake in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
We all celebrated in the streets the day after Obama was elected as if Jesus Christ walked to Jerusalem. Here we are, 12 years later, maybe farther back than we were before Obama was elected. When nobody closing, voting booths, creating laws to stop people from voting people back in 2008. We weren't worried about other countries tampering with our elections in 2008. The game evolves. The other team evolves with it. And if we don't do that, we could put whatever sign we want on our lawns. We could wear whatever black t-shirts we want to wear.
It's not going to change the outcome.
Nope. Especially when you start following the money and where you're putting that stuff you buy. Because if you're not buying it directly from an independent person, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we bought t-shirts from, you know, Pro Wrestling Tees, an independent, you know, t-shirt maker. We didn't buy it from Walmart. We didn't buy it from Target. Oh, yeah, in case you didn't know, they sell Black Lives Matter merch, too.
Yeah. Well, not in Ohio.
Not in Ohio. But I'm just saying, like, you know, look at the tags of the clothing you buy. It might say Black Lives Matter on it, but if it says Hanes, you just gave them some money.
Yeah.
If you buy it, you buy your Black Lives Matter stuff from Nike, you put money in Phil Knight's pocket. And until you start thinking otherwise in that deeper sense, your life's not going to change.
Absolutely.
And stop thinking it's just a U.S. thing, too. When an old girl from America's Got Talent in Britain got fired for wearing a Black Lives Matter necklace on the show. Stop cashing in your passports as if you could run somewhere else and it's going to get better. Ain't nobody come to save us so far, right?
Nope.
Sir.
You know how we run, you know, we hear the U.S. running everywhere, you know, to solve people's problems.
America's,
ain't nobody come to save us.
Mm-hmm.
That's my speech. I'm done. The doors of the church are open. Pass the offering.
God be with you.
Yeah.
You know, we were sitting there talking about it because, you know, especially me being from a different perspective, I'm sitting here. I kind of expected this to happen when they reached a settlement. That's just because, you know, Chicago has lived through Laquan McDonald, Rakia Boyd, situations like that. You just know what's up, you know? And I posted it on Facebook. You don't prepare your city for a lockdown if the decision is the right one.
Right.
Not once in that indictment does it mention the murder of Miss Breonna Taylor. And, you know, somebody that's worked, I've seen this bullshit time and time again, and it's not going to fucking change unless we change it from within.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make any sense. A lot of this shit is just horrible. And you see all the social media posts, like somebody's wall has more rights than a black woman living in Kentucky. And it's just disheartening because you see the family, they were sold, here's the money, here's some police reforms, here's some we pass a law banning no-knock warrants in Kentucky. So what happens now? Does that get repealed because they discovered that it was a warrant?
No.
It's all bullshit. You know, it's all token gesture after token gesture because they think throwing money at the problem, because that's what the issue's always been, right? We just throw money at shit and it disappears. This isn't going to disappear for the Taylor family, period. They lost their daughter for the rest of their lives. And this became a world issue. People are speaking out on it left and right. Yeah, we get it. But at the same time, it's like, we got to do more.
If they've already heard everything before, there's nothing else that we can say. It's we got to get to the point where we accept that they are not ignorant. And if they are not ignorant before tragedy happens, they've heard us speak. They've read the post. They see us, you know. So this is not coming from a place of ignorance now. It's just it's an exposure of true power
Absolutely.
between, those that, those who have it and those who don't, what it comes down to. And I hope that we just learn from the situation, that the verdict is the product of state prosecution, which is an electable, it's an electable position in any state. It comes down to an election. That's one of the elections that we don't pay attention to. I'm not one to sit here and say that if you don't have a vote for November, I don't blame you.
It's tough. It's gotten a lot tougher because
But
a lot of people. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that your registering to vote has way more to do than what happens in November. Once you're registered, all those other elections that take place that you don't pay attention to, you can take part of.
Right. The municipal level is the one that we got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because that same Chicago judge that was voted in to her position is the same one being nominated for the Supreme Court. For all the doors that RBG opened up, she's about to walk through all of them and close them because of a political agenda. Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
There are websites, there are resources out there that tell you what side of the fence that this judge votes on, rules against. There are ways to do it. I mean, I think there was a lot of, especially with the last election that we had at the local level, there was a lot of resources, especially for Chicago. It was like, yo, no, that judge is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. These got these backgrounds, and now you start to see this shit right now. And she hasn't even been confirmed yet, hasn't sat at the hearing, and she's already got merchandise, capitalizing off of somebody else's shit.
Merchandise.
It's fucking bullshit.
That's okay. The Wiseman Wrestling Podcast has got merchandise coming real soon.
Yeah. Especially, that shirt was pretty fucking sick too, by the way. I'm pretty excited about how that turns out, how that's going to look with my Jordans. But I mean, I was happy to see, as somebody who's been very vocal about it, I was like, I don't watch the NFL for the reason because they institutionalize racism.
Mm-hmm.
They pay, everybody is a number to them. You sit there and you told effectively everybody Black lives don't matter when you blackball the gentleman 4 years ago who brought it to everybody's attention.
Right.
You tried villainizing this guy. You turned him into a common. Everybody's telling him to shut up. I got a T-shirt from you uninterrupted. It's like, do you understand now? It's like people don't just shut up and dribble just because they're playing the sport that they love and they've spent their life crafting. Doesn't make them that their opinion doesn't fucking matter because they're making certain amount of money to do it.
Right.
Why shouldn't it? Why should? Yeah, it doesn't mean a fucking thing.
You got to think of it from perspective, like how much money does the organization make? How much money does the top person make? That there's $40-50 million that they don't care about that they can pay this guy.
Exactly.
That's the level of money and power that truly affects this country.
I agree. And, it's just, you see it more and more. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the NBA putting the name, the equality and stuff on the back of the jersey because it came from a list that they dictated was acceptable to put on the back of the jerseys. As I'm tired, as somebody who sees my brothers dealing with this shit every single day, I'm tired of the token gestures. I think at this time, the George Floyd incident was a catalyst for a higher degree of accountability in this world. That you're not just going to be able to throw money at this and let it go away. You're not going to be able to stand in as a bunch of fucking Democrats and Republicans sit with, some garb on your shoulder with a knee and your fist up standing at the Senate door, but you don't do shit. Actionable items
with kente cloth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
As if
yo,
kente cloth represents our community. Like
that's the kind of tone deaf shit that goes on left and right. It's like, and you know, guys, you guys know, I say until the community, and this isn't, you know, some backward shit. It's just until the government stops looking like 70-year-old white dudes who can speak for this Puerto Rican in Chicago, speak for this black man in Albany Park, black man in Oak Park. You can't tell me what our struggle is. You can't represent me to the fullest. You don't know what our needs are, what we want to see out there. It can't. We have to start at the level. And voting is going to be huge this year. You had 100 million people that didn't show up to the polls last time because of this whole Trump thing, because they thought everybody was complacent. There's no way this guy's going to fucking win. No way this guy's going to win. But you go down just to Ohio or even a little bit south, and you see yard after yard after yard with fucking Trump signs and shit.
Oh,
like
you don't have to go that far.
Yeah, no. Like Ohio was like literally it's when they say it's a swing state, it's not a fucking joke. It's literally every other yard. The north side of the street is Trump. The right side of the street is fucking Biden. And it's like it's unbelievable.
No, we went to Woodfield last weekend.
I don't doubt that.
And 4 corners of an intersection were filled with pro-Trump supporters yelling and screaming at anybody who drove past.
I do. When we were driving yesterday home after a long day, outside of Lane Tech, Chicago, over here, we did have a family, and we know the family too. It's a biracial family. Mom's white, dad's black, real stand-up dude, real cool, real beautiful family. Had signs with neighborhood kids standing outside on the corner at the intersection. Black Lives Matter signs, Breonna Taylor signs. That's the stuff that's in my neighborhood. I don't expect anybody to do that. I expect to see high-priced fucking houses for sale, you know, or what do you call it? The shit that the ADT. You know, somebody's got a really good security thing. I don't expect to see signs like that. That's progress to me. That's finally the light is gone off in some of these people's head that it's not just you, it's not just them, it's everyone. Everyone's affected by this. Stand up, use your voice for something good. At this point, you should be able to tell what the fuck is good and bad. It's just insane.
You really should.
It's insane that we even have to, you know, bring that shit up. But here we are in 2020. Here we are. We got to do better. We got to do better as people, and we got to do best to support. Simple as that. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. And, you know, for all the people that want to sit there and say Blue Lives Matter, it's like, was Breonna Taylor not a blue life? According to the whole
to the whole rhetoric, right?
NRA, when they murdered Philando Castillo, was he not an NRA member? Did he not have all his paperwork, everything? Silence. It's the same shit, man. It's the same shit over and over again, unfortunately. But hopefully we could do something at the local level that manifests and it turns into this bigger, the movement actually has a bigger impact where our voices are not silenced. They're actually welcomed at the table and we can make definitive change.
Amen.
Rod?
Yeah, let's get up out of here. Just remember that this podcast is and forever be for the culture. Remember that your attention is currency. You vote with your dollars. And even if you don't care about this presidential election, you should still register to vote. Because it's still
vote.
You should still have, there's so much more that you can impact than just what bobblehead idiot is going to be running this country for the next 4 years.
we can also use our platform on Twitter at We Are the Wisemen. We can share, especially at the local level, since we do have local fans. We can share some of the candidates that we think are candidates for real change and not just blowing smoke up our ass because they are pandering to get the votes, which is half of the city council.
We'll think about doing something like that. But in the meantime, be a positive mark and leave a positive mark on this life.